Lewis W. Cashdollar, January 22, 1843 to July 24, 1905. Buried in the Old Red Church Cemetery in Tivoli on the north side of the church near the fence. This monument has an unusual slope arch shape and a bas-relief of a woman clinging to a cross, which is also a raft on a stormy sea. The Red Hook Journal of October 15, 1897 reported that Tivoli was home to, quote, probably the largest man in Dutchess County, the one-legged veteran soldier Lewis Cashdollar, end quote. His measurements are truly impressive. According to the paper, Lewis stood 6 feet 7 inches tall on one leg, weighed 310 pounds, and his waist, chest, and neck were 66, 63, and 22 inches around, respectively. In 1862, Lewis enlisted at Red Hook to fight in the Civil War and was mustered out with the 128th Regiment of New York Volunteers, Company C, in September of that year. Lewis's right leg was wounded in Winchester, Virginia, causing it to have to be amputated, but he wasn't officially discharged until May of 1865. After the war, he joined the Grand Army of the Republic, or GAR, and the Ancient Order of United Workmen, or the AOUW. The AOUW was one of the first fraternal organizations that sprang up in the aftermath of the war to provide insurance to help support its members in times of loss, illness, or with burial costs. In 1874, at a GAR picnic in Tivoli, Lewis lent a hand making sandwiches for about 1,000 attendees. The Hudson Evening Register of September 3rd of that year reported that Mr. Cashdollar was, quote, in his glory as he cut and carved, making sandwiches which reminded us of the ones our mother used to make. One would make a good meal for a hungry man and have plenty left for lunch, unquote. They served ice cream and, quote, other good things too numerous to mention, unquote, to those who attended. It must have been a rollicking good time because at, quote, about 11 o'clock, when the dancing was at its height, the platform gave way in front of the musician's stand, but fortunately no one was hurt, end quote. The following year, the paper reported that Lewis's fish car, which was probably a vessel to contain his catch, with about 3,500 fish in it, was stolen. When he found out that it was moored in Athens, he went up to get it from the thieves who tried to give him a hard time and to keep it for themselves. Well, this was foolish. Quote, but when the impudent fellows were told that he weighed a ton and drew 6 feet of water when mad, the thieves concluded that discretion was the better part of valor, end quote. Except for a short stint as a civil servant, Lewis was a fisherman on the Hudson River by trade. By an account on the Troy Daily Whig of June 1st, 1869, Lewis and his brother, which is presumably Albert, were a couple of fun fellows. In late May, they and another party had a rowboat race in their flat-bottom sailboats on the river. In what the paper called the most interesting and exciting sailing match of the season, the Pride of the Hudson raced against Cashdollar's skiff, the Pirate's Bride. The prize for being first in this 2-mile race was a box of onions, and people along the shore made wagers with bourbon and cider. The race was called for the Pride after the Cashdollars gave up and returned to shore for more drinks. In 1899, Lewis, who was a Democrat, was named Overseer of the Poor under Superintendent Easton of the New York State Public Buildings Department. This was reported to be a, quote, lucrative appointment, but he did not survive a change in leadership. In 1895, there was a clean sweep of over 100 employees of the department, many of whom were Civil War veterans. The Geneva Gazette of October 11, 1895, said that they were, quote, once more reminded that the Republicans love the old soldier only on Election Day, end quote. Lewis tried to speak to the governor to plead his case as a wounded vet who needed the job to support his family, but got nowhere. The paper printed a long statement by Lewis, including this conclusion, quote, that is the conclusion all of us old soldiers get from the grand old party. No matter what service you saw or how badly you were wounded, if you are not of their political faith, you can starve. I was discharged for being a Democrat. Yours truly, a one-legged soldier, Lewis W. Cashdollar, end quote. Lewis was the son of Joseph S. and Margaret Cashdollar, and the brother of Edward and Arthur Cashdollar. He married Mrs. Adelia A. Dallas MacDonald, daughter of John Dallas and Giddy Luffman, on December 3, 1865. She was a widow 7 years Lewis's senior. Delia had a son, Frank McDonald, who became Lewis's stepson. And together, Delia and Lewis had two daughters, Lily I. Cashdollar, born 1868, who married Matthew Du Bois, and Georgia B. Cashdollar, born 1871, who married James Morin. Lewis Cashdollar has been ill for some time before he died on Monday, July 24th, 1905. His funeral was held in his home, as was the custom, and members of the GAR and the AOUW were present. He and Delia are buried together.